Yo, what's good everyone? Welcome back to another video. Today we're going to be on the whiteboard for this one, and I might say something that will ruffle a few feathers, and that is to not get into high ticket sales first, get into appointment setting instead. Now, you might look at that and you might hear that, you might be like, Matt, what are you talking about? But I'm going to explain the reasoning why you should get into appointment setting first, who this is for, who this is not for, as well as some action steps to help you get started on your journey so you leave the video knowing what to do. And yeah, you can get started on your journey, right? So if you don't already know me, my name is Matt Jacob. I've done over 250,000 worth of appointments set. I've set for different offers, different niches. I've been a setter myself for 2.5 years before I started my own coaching program called The Oracle, where I essentially help people do the whole process from A to Z. So who this is not for, first of all, is if you've already got a solid sales network and if you've already got solid sales experience. Because if you're trying to get into sales, and you have those two things, by all means, be my guest. It's going to make your journey a lot easier because one of the things you need to do is land a sales position, and then you're going to need to be really good on the phone or be really good on Zoom and really good with closing deals. So if you lack those two things, then this is probably going to be 90% of you guys, it's going to be the best move for you. Now, the first reason why I encourage you guys to get into appointment setting first, then sales, is because it's a lower barrier to entry. It's a lot easier. I'm not saying it's easy to land a setting position, but what I'm saying is it's a lower barrier to entry. Most people get into appointment setting first and they're there to learn the game, they're there to get sales and setting experience, and then they will move on from that setting position into a sales role or a closing role. And it's a lower barrier to entry because setting is usually easier for most people. You don't need as much experience for that. You don't need as many qualifications for that, whatever you want to call it. You can just find a setting job and then get started on it. Even if it's subpar, at least you got your foot in the door. So first of all, it's a lower barrier to entry. I find most of the sales positions nowadays, they're looking for someone with experience. And if they're not looking for someone with experience, they're looking for someone that they know in their network because they trust that person to do the job and to learn quickly, all right? It wasn't like 2 years ago where almost anyone and everyone could get into high ticket sales because it was still a slept on opportunity. Now everyone and their grandma is trying to get into high ticket sales. First thing, it's a lower barrier to entry. You can probably get hired quicker. You don't need as much experience sometimes. And this is gonna lead to the second point, as you get the reps and experience, you also build leverage. So what I mean by that is, let's say you get into your first setting role and then you start setting your first DMs, you're learning the game, and then you start getting results for these business owners. That's not gonna go unnoticed. They're gonna see that. And then if you're a killer, you're gonna be the top setter on the team, you're performing well. And then when you try to apply for a sales role, then you have way more leverage. Because now you can come on the sales interviews and you can say, oh, I've set for this company, I've generated this much, I've booked this amount of meetings for them on average per day. This is what exactly, right? You have the experience now, you have the repetitions. Now the third reason why you should get into appointment setting first as opposed to high ticket sales is simply because you're building good habits. You're learning skills and you're building good habits. What do I mean by that? So when I was setting, you'd have to build good habits. You'd have to reach out to new leads. You'd have to follow up on old leads and keep conversations alive and moving. And you'd also have to build the discipline of replying back to messages as fast as you can. There's gonna be some if you want the high level sales positions, you're gonna need to also probably get your own leads too. I've heard of instances when people get into sales positions, it's kind of like a SDR position at this point, but there's sales positions where the closers, they're trying to source their own leads and then they're gonna hop on the phone and close them, right? And obviously they get rewarded for it. They make a lot of money doing that. But even if you're not in that kind of role, it still builds the good habits. It builds the good discipline, like doing things when they get tough. But ultimately, it builds the good habits. Because when you just get into sales and this is your first rodeo, you might not be cut out for it as that current version of yourself right now. You might still be lazy, undisciplined, unmotivated, not coachable, not keeping on top of your leads. You might just fluff it up, right? And then you get fired within the first week because you didn't build that character, you didn't build those good habits in the first place compared to if you were doing it for 6 months on a setting offer. And then number 4 is the commissions can then be used to reinvest back into yourself, right? Most people that I speak to on the phone, they want to get into sales, they're working a 9 to 5, they're not doing too well financially, yada yada, they're in uni. So their financial situation, they can really invest in themselves, like into sales training, reinvest back into themselves, into themselves for coaching, consulting, for community, for training, etc. Versus when you get into appointment setting first, you can run up the bag, you can stay in the game for a bit, and then as long as you're not completely done with your money, you can reinvest that back into yourself. That's gonna really pay dividends, and you're only able to do that because you had the capital in the first place that you made from setting, which you reinvested back into, okay? I hope that makes sense. And that's the biggest investment you can make into yourself, more than stocks, more than crypto, more than anything of that nature, okay? So use the commissions wisely, use the money that you make, and use it to reinvest back into yourself, into your skills, so that your journey into high ticket sales becomes a lot easier. I hope those 4 things make sense. Let me know if you agree with them. If you don't agree, either way is fine. Now, some action steps as promised to help you get into the appointment setting game. Remember, I'm gonna say this again, I've said it before. Simplify it down into 3 steps. Number 1 is land a setting position. This is where most people get stuck on, and I'll go into that into a second. Number 2 is obviously learn appointment setting, learn how to book meetings in, learn pipeline management, CRMs, tracking your numbers, outreach, objection handling, all those things that you need to learn so you start booking meetings in and you start making money. And then number 3 is scaling up and accountability, right? Scaling up, scaling into appointment, getting into high ticket sales, reinvesting back into yourself, holding yourself accountable. Even if you don't want to get into high ticket sales, you just want to get straight to running your own business, you can do that, because that's what I did. If you want to get into a setting management role, if you want to get into a sales management role, it's up to you. But that's step 3. So number 1, land a setting position. I've got plenty of videos on that. Like, I'm going to keep it very short. Network and communities, outreach, and then personal brand. Those are going to be your 3 best friends. If you want more info on that, I have a whole playlist, which I'll link at the end of the video. And then number 2 is learn appointment setting. You can check out my most recent video. I just did a live 45-minute training with one of my students on how to set his DMs. And then the 3rd thing, scaling and accountability. I hope this video was really helpful, nice and quick today. I don't think you should get into high ticket sales anymore straight away in 2024, 2025, unless you got a solid network and you have opportunities like right around the corner and you have training or you have experience. I think for most people who are just starting out, appointment setting is going to be your best friend. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Let me know, like, comment, subscribe, and I'll see you guys in the next vid. Peace.